the lie we all bought into. It's judging, comparing, measuring, whispering one thing over and over again. You are not enough. You've felt it. When you scroll through social media, when you see someone younger, richer, more beautiful, when you check your reflection and sigh. That voice, persistent, relentless, wasn't born in you. It was planted. By whom? Modern society. But what if I told you this entire structure we're living in, this race, this game, this endless pursuit, is a lie? A deception so large, so cleverly disguised, that it's become our reality. Let me show you. The myth of progress. Where did we go wrong? From birth, we are indoctrinated into a belief system that equates value with output, happiness with ownership, worth with image. We are taught to consume, not to contemplate, to perform, not to question, to compete, not to connect. But when did this begin? Let's take a step back, 2 centuries back, to the dawn of the Industrial Revolution, a moment of technological triumph and psychological fracture. As Erich Fromm wrote in The Sane Society, modern man lives under the illusion that he knows what he wants, while he actually wants what he is supposed to want. Fromm wasn't condemning ambition. He was pointing to a far deeper problem: alienation. Modern life, in its race for efficiency and productivity, has severed us from ourselves. We no longer live to live, we live to function. The worker as a machine picture. This: a man wakes up at 6 a.m. He sits in traffic, spends 8 hours doing work he finds meaningless, comes home drained, watches TV, scrolls, sleeps, repeats. He is not living, he is maintaining. This isn't rare, it's the norm. The French sociologist Pierre Bourdieu called it symbolic violence, the silent coercion of cultural norms that convince people to accept systems that do not serve them. We believe we have choice, but it's an illusion. The job market, school system, even our weekend habits, they've all been engineered for compliance, not fulfillment. And the saddest part? We are taught to blame ourselves for our emptiness. The system is broken is a lie. The system isn't broken. It's working exactly as designed. Late capitalism thrives on your dissatisfaction. The more insecure you are, the more you consume. The less grounded you feel, the more you seek escape. Streaming services, alcohol, Instagram, all distractions from the deeper question, who am I outside of what I produce or own? This is what philosopher Byung-Chul explores in the Burnout Society. He writes, "Today's society is no longer Foucault's disciplinary society, but an achievement society. We are no longer subjects of obedience, but projects of performance." In other words, we are no longer imprisoned by others. We are imprisoned by ourselves, by internalized expectations, by the cult of optimization, by the gospel of hustle. Real stories, the cost of modern lies. Let's get real. Meet Sarah, a 29-year-old lawyer, Ivy League graduate, 6 figures, apartment with skyline view. Last year, she tried to take her own life. Why? Because none of it felt real. Everything I built was based on what I thought success should look like, she said. But when I got there, I felt nothing. Just numb. Sarah is not an anomaly. She is a product of a society that rewards surface and punishes depth. A world where burnout is worn like a badge and silence is mistaken for stability. The foundation of control, fear and desire. To manipulate a society, you don't need chains. You need desire and fear. Desire to be more, fear of being less. Edward Bernays, the father of modern public relations, understood this all too well. In his book Propaganda, 1928, he admitted the conscious and intelligent manipulation of the organized habits and opinions of the masses is an important element in democratic society. He didn't say this as a warning. He said it as a strategy. Today, Advertising doesn't just sell products, it sells identity, it sells envy, it sells your inadequacy back to you, wrapped in a logo and a smile. The first veil, pulled. This chapter was meant to break the first illusion, that the life you're living is your choice. But if it's not your choice, then whose is it? In chapter 2, we'll explore the second veil, the one that convinces you you are free, when in fact, your mind has been colonized. And this time, we'll dive into the neuroscience of conformity, the politics of obedience, and how even your desires may not be your own. Are you ready to go deeper? The life you didn't agree to. There's a quiet kind of suffering that no one talks about. It's not dramatic. It doesn't scream. It hums. You feel it when your alarm rings and your chest tightens for no clear reason. You feel it when you laugh at a joke in a room full of people and still feel completely alone. You feel it in traffic, in line at the grocery store, in that moment before bed when your phone slips from your hand and the silence rushes in. And what's worse, it's normal now, expected, even congratulated. You wake up tired, you work to afford things that don't satisfy you. You try to rest, but feel guilty for not optimizing your downtime. The freedom illusion, how we became voluntary slaves. There's a myth more dangerous than any dictatorship, more paralyzing than poverty, more effective than chains. It's the myth of freedom, not real freedom, marketed freedom, the kind sold in slogans, advertised through lifestyle, whispered in motivational quotes designed to keep you obedient. Freedom of choice, they say. Freedom of expression. Freedom to be yourself. But here's the question no one wants to ask. If we're free, why does everyone feel so trapped? Because what we call freedom today is often just managed behavior, in a controlled environment. We were given options, not truth. Choice, not meaning. French philosopher Michel Foucault knew this well. In his analysis of modern power, he wrote, "The individual is no doubt the fictitious atom of an ideological representation of society, but he is also a reality fabricated by this specific technology of power." What he meant is this: we are manufactured, not in factories, but in schools, in media, in the ways we're taught to speak, dress, dream. From an early age, your mind was formatted like software, rewarded for compliance, punished for introspection. You weren't taught to think, you were trained to react. The comfortable prisons don't need bars if the prisoners police themselves. Today, control doesn't wear a uniform. It wears a logo. It whispers through convenience. You don't need to be forced to conform when you're addicted to your own performance, when you post your life online for validation, when you work overtime for a title you secretly resent, when you judge your value by how busy you are, how productive, how booked. This is what Byung-Chul calls the achievement society, a system in which excess positivity and self-exploitation replace external coercion. In other words, we have become our own tyrants. We burn out in silence and call it discipline. We betray our inner voice and call it adulthood. We bury our despair under productivity and we wonder why we're anxious. Reality. Check. Control through. Desire. This isn't about oppression in the traditional sense. It's far more subtle and therefore more effective. Edward Bernays, who pioneered public relations, once wrote, "We are governed, our minds molded, our tastes formed, by men we have never heard of." He wasn't exaggerating. Think of the last time you truly wanted something: a car, a phone, a lifestyle. Did the desire come from you? Or was it seeded by an image, a story, a comparison? Marketing doesn't sell products anymore. It sells identities. And once you internalize those identities, you're no longer being manipulated. You're participating. Willingly. That's the final stage of control, when domination feels like desire. The dissidents, what they saw. Not everyone bought into the lie. Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor and existential psychiatrist, warned, when everyone smiles for photos, everyone's doing well. But behind closed doors, antidepressants, insomnia, quiet breakdowns in parked cars. This is not life. This is survival, dressed as success. We live in a civilization that has perfected the art of distraction. It keeps you chasing goals that were never yours, comparing yourself to people who are just as lost, and doubting your own instincts so you never trust the feeling that something is wrong. Because that feeling, that's the last part of you that still remembers what truth feels like. This isn't a conspiracy, it's worse. It's a culture, a system, a rhythm so widespread and so deeply embedded that we don't question it. Not because it makes sense, but because everyone is doing it. Go to school, get a job, buy the house, get the car, upgrade the car, take photos on vacation to prove it was worth it. Come home, start again. But somewhere between ambition and exhaustion, we forgot to ask, who designed this game? And why does no one seem to win it? You see, this isn't just about stress or burnout. It's about identity, about being raised in a world that defines your value by how well you can perform a script someone else wrote. And if you ever dare to question that script, you're labeled lazy, ungrateful, difficult. Yet, here's the most dangerous part. The system doesn't force you to obey. It makes you believe you chose it. That is the genius of it. You volunteer to play a game you didn't create, for prizes that don't satisfy, by rules you didn't write, because you were taught to believe that any other way is failure. This is not just social, it's spiritual, it's biological, it's personal, and it's time we break the trance. Because buried under the algorithms, the brands, the performance, and the noise, there's a part of you that never gave in. A part that's still watching, still waiting. This video is not for everyone. It's for those who feel something's off and finally want to know why. Let's start.